Every person you know is living inside a cage they built themselves. Not a metaphor, a literal psychological structure designed, reinforced, and maintained by one single decision they made at some point in their life. They chose security. And the moment they did, freedom became unavailable to them. Not difficult, not expensive, unavailable. Because these two things cannot coexist. They never have, they never will. And the sooner you understand why, the sooner you understand every major pattern in your life.
Most people don't think they've made this choice. They'll tell you they want both: freedom and stability, adventure and safety, growth and comfort. And that desire is completely human, completely understandable, and completely impossible. Here's why. Freedom, at its core, means optionality, the ability to move, to change, to leave, to pursue without asking permission from circumstances you created. Security, at its core, means predictability, the elimination of variables, the reduction of uncertainty, the construction of a system you can rely on. These two things are not complementary. They are in direct opposition. Every structure you build for security is a constraint on your freedom. Every commitment you make for stability is a door you close on optionality. This is not pessimism. This is physics. The question was never, can I have both? The question is, which one are you actually choosing? And are you choosing it consciously, or just drifting toward whichever one feels safer in this moment?
Here's what no one tells you about the security path. It doesn't feel like a cage while you're building it. It feels like progress. The stable job feels like foundation. The predictable routine feels like discipline. The avoided risk feels like wisdom. And for a while, it works. The anxiety decreases. The uncertainty fades. Life becomes manageable. Until one morning you wake up and realize that manageable is the most dangerous word in the English language. Because manageable means you stopped growing. Manageable means you optimized for survival instead of expansion. Manageable means the cage is complete, and you built it so well that you almost can't see the bars anymore. And here's what makes it worse. The people around you will call it success. They'll look at your stability and feel envy. They'll mistake your cage for a kingdom. And part of you, the part that's been compromising for years, will almost believe them.
Benjamin Franklin wrote, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." He was talking about politics, but he was describing a psychological law. The brain does not distinguish between political liberty and personal freedom. It processes both through the same threat assessment system. And that system has one core function: minimize discomfort in the present moment. Not next year, not in 5 years, right now. Which means every time you face the choice between growth and comfort, your nervous system will instinctively push you toward comfort. Not because comfort is better, because comfort is familiar, and familiar registers as safe. This is why most people end up in lives they didn't consciously choose. They didn't make one big decision to abandon freedom, they made 1,000 small ones. Each individual choice seemed reasonable. Each trade seemed minor. A little less risk here, a little more predictability there, a small compromise on this, a quiet acceptance of that. And 10 years later, they're living inside a structure so solid, so complete, that freedom isn't just distant, it's unimaginable. The research on this is sobering. Studies on end-of-life regret consistently show the same pattern. People don't regret the risks they took, they regret the risks they didn't take. Not abstractly, specifically. The business they didn't start, the conversation they never had, the life they almost chose and didn't. Security didn't protect them from pain, it just rerouted the pain to a place they couldn't address until it was too late. Now here's where this gets complicated, because the answer isn't abandon everything and chase freedom. That's the other trap. Pure freedom, without structure, without commitment, without roots, isn't liberation, it's drift. The person who never commits to anything in the name of keeping options open is not free. They are terrified. Real freedom is not the absence of constraint. Real freedom is the deliberate selection of constraints worth having. You don't avoid the cage, you choose which cage is worth living in. The question isn't security or freedom in absolute terms. The question is, what are you willing to be constrained by, and what constraints are you accepting by default out of fear, without ever consciously deciding they were worth the cost? That distinction changes everything, because the person who chooses their constraints deliberately, who looks at their commitments and says, I built this, I chose this, and I stand behind it, that person is free, in the only way that actually matters. And the person who drifts into security, never examining the cost, they are not safe. They are just slowly running out of time. Look at your life right now. Not the version you describe to other people. The actual architecture of your days. Where are you moving? Where are you static? What are you building? And what are you just maintaining? Because maintenance is not neutral. In a world that moves forward, maintenance is decline with good posture. The job you've been meaning to leave, the project you've been meaning to start, the version of yourself you've been meaning to become after things settle down. Things don't settle down. That's not how time works. The window you're waiting for is being consumed by the security structures you're afraid to touch. Every day you don't move toward freedom, you move deeper into the architecture of a life you chose by not choosing. And here's the hardest truth in all of this. No one is coming to open the cage. Not a better opportunity, not a perfect moment, not a sign that it's finally time. The cage doesn't have a lock on the outside. It never did. Freedom and security cannot coexist. But here is what can. Clarity and courage. Clarity about what you actually want, not what you were told to want, not what feels safe to want, but what you would build if you stopped asking for permission. And courage to move toward it, knowing that every step toward freedom requires releasing something that made you feel secure. That release is not loss. It is the price of becoming the person who doesn't wake up one morning inside a life they don't recognize, wondering where the years went. You get one life, one window, one shot at building something that's actually yours. The cage or the horizon. Choose deliberately, or the choice gets made for you. If this is the kind of content that cuts through the noise for you, subscribe to Mind Siege. No motivation, no inspiration, just the truth about how your mind works and how to use it. New video every week. See you there.